In today's session of Visual JForex, I will be demonstrating to you the use of indicator named support and resistance. This is fairly easy to understand. This indicator is mainly derived using the price action, where we see the price levels on which the reversal is taking place in the course of action for the underlying instrument, and we see if the price is reversing, then that particular area is likely to act as the support or resistance as the case may be, and we try to utilize that particular level to help us in entry and exits for the trade positioning. So this indicator is considered fairly useful, and it has been widely used, and this is also easy to understand. So we will see on the Visual JForex board developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA how we can deploy this indicator block to design and develop the algorithmic setup which will do the job for us of determining the support and resistance day in day out, so that we can trade with the trend and closer to the optimum pricing, where we get the risk reward ratio which is also in our favor. For today's session we will use the on candle as our start point, and then coming to the S and R block, that is the support and resistance block, we have to define three input parameters depending on which we will be getting these two output values, the maximum and the minimum. You can also consider the maximum value to be the resistance zone, whereas the minimum value generally acts as the support area. And this indicator is also fairly easy to set up on the chart, and then customizing it is also fairly easy. Let me search it as, and R, here it is, support and resistance. Now this indicator has been plotted on the Euro USD charts of 15 minutes each, where the custom parameters are defined to be drawn from the chart variables. Let me see how are the settings here: input, output, and the advanced. Okay, so the base period has been defined at 4 hours, and we are using the data on the chart to calculate this. So all these input parameters have been defined as per the charting, and that means we are using the period of 15 minutes for these support and resistance levels, and the side is on the bit side, and the instrument is of Euro USD. We can change it, and here if we want to change the time period, we can change that. We can customize everything. So now let us again head back to the Visual JForex board, where we will take the input parameters one by one, and then I will explain to you how we can customize it and the general rationale behind it. So the default instrument can be any instrument of your choice. You can keep the Euro USD as it is, or you can choose any different instrument, whichever is supported on this platform. So we have the choice of all these input instruments. For today's session, we keep the Euro USD as it is, no change on my side, but you can, as I said, you can always change it if you want to use the different instrument to trade on. Coming to the candlestick period here, this is defined at 10 minutes, and as I have said multiple times in the prior sessions also, this customary parameter mainly depends on the time horizon for the trading setup. If you want to trade on the intraday kind of time frames, then I think these time frames like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour will be better suited. If you want to trade on the medium term, then hourly or 4 hourly will do the job. From the longer term perspective, I think the daily, weekly time frame do better. So that's always the rationale behind choosing the period for the candlestick. Shift is 2. This is predetermined, and it is as per the definition of the support and resistance block. We take the price action to determine the support and resistance, and that data is considered till two candlestick periods earlier, and using the prior action we arrive at the support and resistance zone for the current price. So that's why the shift is kept at 2, or you can even change it. You can go back in time if you want to do that. So that option is there, and depending on that, how you have customized these three input parameters, you will be getting the maximum and the minimum value, which are going to act as the support and resistance for us. So here, how to use this indicator, then I think the general logic, as is the case, is fairly simple. That you try to go for the buy trade closer to the support area, and you go for the sell trade closer to the resistance zone. But as I have said, these support and resistance zones come into play after two candlestick periods have passed. That means there is going to be the lag. Now for the current price action, the resistance is on the higher side, closer to 1.164, and right now the price action is almost 10 to 15 pips below that. If we want to use this resistance to go for the fresh sell trade, I think we can utilize that. We will have to do further calculations, and then using the pending open and all, the we can use this price zone to set some conditions where the sell trade only will happen when the price action inches closer to this prior resistance zone. And of course, it's not like sacrosanct, so this resistance zone might even be broken. But the thing is, when you determine that the particular zone should be the entry point, then you also determine what should be the exit point. So in case we happen to be wrong, I think the price just above this resistance zone can be utilized as the stop loss in case we happen to be wrong. So we can determine both ways, and on the lower side, the prior support zone can be considered as the target price. There are multiple ways to use this indicator and customize it as per your requirement. My general consensus is that whenever the formation is of higher highs, that is the support levels are on the rise, and also the resistance zones are also on the rise. So basically the formation is of higher highs and higher lows. In such instances, in such circumstances, we generally go for the buy trade, and if we see that lower lows and lower highs are being formed, then in those scenarios we can look for the sell trade closer to the prior swing high, which can be derived using these support and resistance formation. And we can go for those entries, and we can also optimize the stop loss and targets. As I said, the targets can be kept closer to the opposite level. If we are going for the buy trade, then the target should be closer to the resistance zone, and the stop loss just below the support area. And if we are going for the sell trade, the entry point should be closer to the resistance zone while keeping the stop loss above it, and the target price should be closer to the next support. That way we will be trading with the trend, and also the probability will be fairly high of ending up with profit. So that's how these instruments parameters needs to be defined, and then as per the customization, this setup will work fine. If you want to change the time frame, you can always do so. So to give you an example, now the support and resistance levels are being defined for the half an hourly time frame. If I want to increase it further, here now the formation is of hourly, so all these highs and lows are being formed while keeping in mind the price action on the hourly time frame. Similarly, we can also increase it to say 4 hour, daily, weekly, monthly. So all those parameters are fine. Now these support resistance levels are being defined for the 4 hourly setup. You can customize your entry and exits accordingly. So these are fairly useful, and as is the case in most of the indicators, you can use this indicator with other indicators also. You can use these indicators in conjunction with other trend finding indicators. So your probability of being right will go higher as you are using multiple confirmation factors. So it's always up to us to define and design these algorithmic setups, and the goal is always simple, that is to increase the probability of profitability, and we have to see how we can reach that goal. So that's it from my side for today's session, and I think before I sign off, I should also explain to you two key things of how we define these uh, indicator block. We have these two other options also, as I have said many a times, that slight difference will be there whether we are calculating the indicator on the bid side or on the ask side because of the spread, and also your support and resistance zone will be calculated while keeping in mind the applied price, whether it is closing price, open price, high price, or low price. So some difference will also crop up depending on how or which applied price is being used while calculating these support and resistance levels. So that's it from my side for today's session. I would like to thank you all for joining in. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can give me the feedback and I would be more than happy to take it forward. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.